People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, my camera stopped working, as I've said in my Q&A. I don't know why it stopped working, people. Literally, I went on a Zoom call. I made a video, went on a Zoom call with AFTV, Laurie and Curtis, came back to it, switched it on. It's not turning on, people. I don't know what I've gone for it. Ordered another one. It's an L. It's a couple £100 down the drain, but it is what it is. It could be worse. These L's are going to always come. But we're just going to have to persist with this format. Now, in case you're wondering, I've rather sillily just tried to apply on Zoom, apply a green screen. But when I lift up my hand, things like that happen. I thought it'd be fun. And I just wanted to see what it looked like. And to be fair, I feel like I'm actually being asked stuff at the Emirates. But yeah, like I said, please forgive me for not having the usual pattern and the usual settings. For now, we're going to have to hold it up. We're not going to be like this for long, but it is what it is. Moving away from that, there's a couple of things to speak about. The first is the Daily Mail say Arsenal are keen to sign Dani Ceballos permanently or bring him back to the club on another season-long loan following his performances this term. Now, again, we never know how far our budget would go and things like that. Would it make sense? Depending on the fee, we're hearing 50 million euros for Ceballos, which would be significant by Arsenal standards. Would it make sense to forego that when I'm pretty sure most fans would be happier with a Partey. Again, you could always sign both, but I don't know how far money's going to stretch for Arsenal, because you're hearing it's delicate. And especially if you did spend over 100 million and you gave people cuts and you're seeing Kroenke finances getting richer, you're going to be looking a bit sideways as a player. Because if you was to bring in Ceballos and Partey, for example, whether you like Ceballos or not, he's someone that can break the lines. We kind of miss a midfielder like that. If you was to say he's going to be the creative man, I think you need a box-to-box man like Partey who can contribute going forward, but can also break down play while not necessarily being a defensive midfielder. You sign both of them, you're hearing 40 million for both, and more. You're seeing everything from 40 to 60 million euros. So depending on it, it could be 80 million plus. So if you bought both for, let's say, 40, that's 80 million euros, without talking about a centre half that we're looking at apparently. So if we bring in a centre half until you're looking at over 100 million in spending, which should be doable for a club like Arsenal. And again, I know Pepe, 70 million, it's not 70 million on the table, but who did we buy last year? Was it not Pepe, Luis? It's that must be close to 100 million. I think it would be worth trying to get him on another loan spell at least, because, he might be tempted to stay in the Prem. He's had difficult period at Arsenal. He's had multiple managers. The club situation has been delicate. He hasn't always played, whether it's his fault or not. That might put him saying, I want to go to a team like a Betis or Valencia where I'm going to play a bit more. Or he might say, do you know what? I'm in Arteta's thoughts. I like the Premier League. This could be the team for me right now to stay in the thoughts of the Spanish boss. And, next season I'll boss it. And that could help us because, if we get him on loan and pay the loan fee versus playing permanently, we've got funds to maneuver in other ways. Arteta's got a player he wants. Who knows? You're hearing that he's intent on going back to Madrid and at least trying to have a future there, whether it's blindly naive or not. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, people. Away from that, according to Goal.com, first and foremost, as you know, George Lewis, 19-year-old Rwandan born and currently playing in Sweden, was on trial for a week or two in March, and apparently Arsenal want to keep him permanently. He's a free agent. Again, the progress of the deal or whatever talks probably put at a back burner with what's going on globally, but apparently he's done enough to impress. He'll link up with the under-23 side, and to be fair, it's smart because, it's probably the last summer for a lot of players to buy foreign players with no issues. And that's probably why you're seeing United signing a couple. And we need to get a move on with these Brexit laws that could be coming and people are talking about coming into football. First and foremost, hopefully he can help us. I'd imagine he signs anything from a 1 to 2 year deal, which would tie him down to his 21, which would be good for him considering he's a free agent. For Steve Bold, it gives him another option at under 23s level to work with. Whether he can progress to first team is down to him. Obviously, it puts pressure on a lot of wingers, really, because you look at Trey Coyle, who can play in the 10 as well as on the flanks. A couple of other wingers. There's not too many wingers in the academy set up that really and truly anymore, but it probably puts pressure on them, really and truly. And it gives him an option, because you could say you was lacking that, really. I think Nathan Butler-Adeji, based on how he's been playing at 18s, could deserve at least an appearance at 23s. But, I'm all for us bringing in the best players. Of course, I would hope him to come in as a relative unknown, progress to first team and whatnot. I don't know if that's going to happen. For him, I'd like him to come here, develop, obviously potentially make his debut, be sold on for a profit or get a chance here. But I see a young man who's a free agent, just like to hear him get he can still have a career as a professional footballer, because that shows you the glory of the universe. He probably was, I don't know his situation, but he might have been saying, woe is me, and then he's come to Arsenal. Apparently, he spent time at a couple of clubs in his adopted homeland of Sweden, as well as previously being with Ipswich. So again, if he's been in Ipswich's academy, I don't know. I think he is London. I think he has, assuming he's got he's got family in England. He must do. He must be relatively familiar with something in England. So I'd imagine the move to London, which is completely different from Ipswich, would help him in his surroundings and whatnot. Apparently, from what people say, he looks good 1v1. He's a pacey customer, so hopefully he is that, and he gives another option to the 23s to move forward with, really and truly. Just like looking on the net, he's got 5 senior appearances, people. So I don't know nothing about him. I haven't seen him play apart from highlights. But I'd imagine 5 appearances isn't the most, but he's fairly experienced with dealing with the physical stuff in men's football. So he might be able to ride challenges and stuff with the 23s. So at least he's got Steve Bold has another player and another option, and we wish him all the best, really. And clearly he's done enough to convince Arsenal to make his deal permanently, people. Away from this, and ESPN have said Mikel Arteta held a 2-hour phone call with LA Rams head coach Sean McVay earlier this week to share ideas on training regimes amid the corona pandemic. And to be fair, that's a good experience. You'd be surprised how many coaches speak to people that are in other domains. You read Arteta's friends book, Pep Guardiola. He was a regular friend. He used to chill a lot with a regular and call a friend and be with a regular person in that, I forgot his name, but he plays chess. So it's all about bouncing ideas. And you can imagine American football and football are too differently, but there's common themes. You've got to be agile from a tactical point of view. They can share drills that could pretend, we could give what Americans would call soccer drill to them, and they can rework it and do something that can help them, and vice versa with what they're doing. Again, it's probably a bit overheads, but maybe performance levels, tracking, man management, all of these sort of things, like how you actually, because you have to be coached to be able to coach people, to get sort of thing. How share ideas as to how they can more effectively get their ideas across. Obviously, with the coronavirus, if they've got any innovative ideas, what they can do to combat against things, that's good. And obviously, it's probably good for Kroenke because his 2 franchises, probably what he classes them as LA Rams and Arsenal, their coaches are getting along, and that would probably help him and things like that. We'll never know the degree of what they said, but it's decent. And I haven't seen any of the comments like inextensive, but I heard Raul Sanye and Vinay have given a sort of via Zoom sort of fan meeting thing. So it's good to see these sort of things happening. Finally, people, apparently the Express have said Luka Jovic has asked Serbian teammate Aleksandar Mitrovic what life in England is like, with Arsenal among the Premier League clubs said to be keeping tabs on the striker. Now, again, that could just be a normal question. Think about it logically, people. If I'm a young English player who's got 1 year, like if I'm Saka and I just happen to know Jadon Sancho, and I ask Jadon Sancho what is life like in Germany, you can see how rumors can be invented. People could look at my contract. The same goes for Jovic. He's not playing at Madrid. He's linked with a lot of clubs. He's obviously going to ask a teammate just generally what life is like, and they probably ask him what life is like at Madrid. Obviously, this could be literally at face value what they mean, in that he wants to make a move. Chelsea are linked with a striker, and they're linked with him heavily. Apparently, United are linked with him and Werner. Arsenal were the team that would seem to be at one point the only team linked with him, although we'd have to get him in a loan capacity. So we'll see what happens in that regards. Again, a lot depends on what we do specifically with Aubameyang and, to a degree, Lacazette, who has an extra year on his contract on Aubameyang's contracted until 2021. Can't imagine a lot of you don't know that at this moment in time, but that's all there is, really and truly. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. So people, thank you very much. Deluded, I'm out.